to take the zakah from the believers, and this zakah will purify their wealth. It will purify them and it will purify their wealth of zakah. So technical meaning of zakah is, in Arabic, fuqaha have defined the zakah by the word hiya tamliku juz'in makhsusin min malin makhsusin li shakhsin makhsusin li lillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these are three things. First, tamliku juz'in makhsusin, and the second thing is min malin makhsusin, and fourth thing is li shakhsin makhsusin, and then lillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these, we can say this is the summary of our today's presentation. Because this one line is, you can say the whole thing, inshallah, we will discuss in this presentation. Because tamliku juz'in makhsusin, it means to give a specific share of your wealth, to give to someone. That means you will have to make that person the owner of your zakah. So inshallah, in the coming slides we will discuss that you cannot give your zakah to a random organization which do not make sure that your zakat is given to the poor people who are entitled to receive the zakat. In the same way, you cannot build through your zakah a masjid or any other thing. You will have to give your zakat to a person who is entitled to receive the zakat. And the second thing is juz'in makhsusin. That means a specific share of your wealth, which is, when it comes to the wealth, which is the topic of our today's presentation, this specific amount is 2.5%. And then min malin makhsusin. Every person is not supposed to give the zakah on his wealth. He will give the zakah when he has a specific amount of a specific wealth, right? So specific amount is called nisab, and specific amount of specific wealth. Specific wealth, inshallah, we will discuss in coming slides, which are the wealth and which are the assets which are subject to zakah. And then li shakhsin makhsusin. You cannot give your zakah to any random person. You have to make sure that the person you are giving your zakah to is entitled to receive the zakah. And inshallah, in coming slide we will discuss. Next. So I have discussed and explained this, saying of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this hadith in which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that the building of Islam is established on 5 pillars, and one of these important pillars is zakah. Right? So inshallah, before I come to the points, these are few points. These are few benefits or wisdom behind the zakah. Why we should give zakah? Why the zakah should be given? So the first thing on the top of all of these things is the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why we will give the zakah? Because we have been commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give zakah from your wealth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَكْنِزُونَ الذَّهَبَ وَالْفِضَّةَ وَلَا يُنْفِقُونَهَا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ فَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ يَوْمَ يُحْمَى عَلَيْهَا فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمَ فَتُقْوَى بِهَا جِبَاهُهُمْ وَجُنُوبُهُمْ وَظُهُورُهُمْ هَذَا مَا كَنَزْتُمْ لِأَنفُسِكُمْ فَذُوقُوا مَا كُنتُمْ تَكْنِزُونَ. So if we have the wealth, if we are the owner of nisab, and still may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us, we are not giving the zakat, then this is the punishment mentioned in the Holy Quran for those who do not give the zakat. So first of all, because this is the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give the zakah, so we will give zakah. If we understand the wisdom or not, even though these are things we can understand them easily. The second thing is purification of heart. Because when we give the zakah, so sometimes we have so much love in our heart for wealth. So we don't want to give it to the poor people. But when we give, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates the love in our heart for the poor people. And purification of wealth as well, as I recited the verse of the Holy Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرُهُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ. So when we give the zakah, it purifies our wealth. Our remaining wealth is purified through the zakah we give. And then barakah, obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Yamhaqullahu riba wa yunbis sadaqah. When you give the zakah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts the barakah in your wealth through this zakah. And less money becomes enough for our needs. And then circulation of wealth. So when it is interesting thing that our Sharia encourages us, it encourages the believer not to hold the money with them. If they have the money, they should invest this money in the business avenues. And it is a very good push to the economic activities. And then help of needy people. So obviously, as I said that we have to make sure that we are giving our zakah to the needy people who are entitled to receive the zakah. So when we will give the zakah, millions of people will be helped by our zakah, inshallah. And bridge the gap between rich and poor. So obviously, when a rich person gives the zakah to a poor person, so that person has good, feelings and desire for giver. And equality. So it is a means to maintain the equality between, the two extremes of people. On one side, highly and extremely rich people, and another side, the poor people. So when they give their zakah, the poor people come, up. So you can say this was the intro of the presentation. Now these are 4 questions in front of us, which will be addressed in this presentation. So the first question is, who is the zakah? Who is the zakah fard upon? Who is the person who is supposed to give the zakah? So that person is called Malik-e-Nisab, a person who possesses the specific amount of wealth, and now he is supposed to give the zakah. And the second question is, which items of the wealth is zakah fard upon? So which are the assets which are called zakatable assets? Zakatable asset means the things, the assets, the types of the wealth, the items. When we have these items or when we have these assets, we are supposed to give the zakah. And if we don't have these items or up to a certain level or amount of the wealth, then we are not supposed to give the zakah. So these are items, inshallah, in the coming slide it will be discussed. And what is the method of calculating the zakah? How we will calculate our zakah, inshallah, we will discuss in the coming slide. And who can zakah be given to? Who is entitled to receive the zakah? As I said that we cannot give our zakah to a random person or to a random organization. We have to make sure that we are making that a person who is entitled to receive zakah, we are making him the owner of this money. So answer to the first question, who is zakah fard upon? So zakat is basically fard upon a person who has certain condition. The first condition is to be the Muslim. Obviously, our Sharia addresses, and these ahkam and these commandments are for the Muslims. So zakat is also for Muslim. If a person is not Muslim, he will not give the zakah, or he is not, supposed to give the zakah. It does not matter if he is male or female, he will have to give the zakah. And the second shart or condition is baligh, to be mature. So this is according to Hanafi school of thought, and because majority of us follow Hanafi school of thought, so I have mentioned only this opinion that if a person is not baligh and he is kid, for example, but he has money. Sometimes we give our kids money, or they are gifted by relatives, and sometimes these things. But according to Hanafi school of thought, they are not supposed to give the zakah. Because there is hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ says, Rufi al-qalam an thalathin, and in that hadith the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that anis sabiki hatta yahtalim. So when a person is kid and he is not mature, so he is not addressed by Sharia for these commandments. According to Imam Shafi rahimahullah, they are also supposed to give the zakah. Obviously their money is not in their hand, then their parents or guardian will give zakat from their wealth. And the third condition is sane person. He must be a sane person and rational mind. He must have the rational mind, because if a person is insane, he is majnoon, so he is not supposed to give the zakah. Again, this is according to the Hanafi school of thought. According to Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, if such person has money, So his parents, his or her parents or guardian will be giving zakat from his wealth. And the fourth thing is to be sahib nisab. This is important to understand, and inshallah in the coming slide we will discuss who is called sahib nisab. What is the nisab? What is the minimum wealth upon which the zakat is mandatory? And the fifth thing is to have 1 year, lunar year. Islamic year must, pass by this wealth. Once you are the owner of the nisab, which will be discussed in the coming slide, and you will note that date. For the first time when you become the owner of that nisab, that specific amount of wealth, you will note your date, Islamic date, and after 1 year, you will see if you have the nisab or more than that, you will calculate your zakat, right? So when 1 year passes by, the wealth you have or nisab, then you pay zakat on that. But this is important to understand that it does not mean that 1 lunar year must pass on each and everything you have. It means that once you become the owner of the nisab, so after that, after 1 year, you will give zakat on whatever you have, which is subject to zakat. So what is the nisab? So this is the summary, but because maybe inshallah we have time, so I will discuss a little bit more. So basically there are two things according to which the nisab is calculated, or you can say the standard of zakat, the standard of nisab. So the first standard is of gold. And what is the nisab according to the gold? So it is 87.48 gram. If you have the gold and the quantity of gold is 87.48 gram, then this is the nisab. You have the nisab and you will have to pay zakat on all the zakatable assets. But it is in the case when you have only gold. And the second standard is of silver. So if you have 612 gram of silver, then you are the owner of the nisab. But again, it is when you have only silver. But normally we have the combination of gold and silver, and gold and cash, and sometimes silver and cash, and sometimes gold, cash, silver, and tradable assets, business stocks. So normally 99.9% we don't have only gold or only silver. So in this case, when we have more than one zakatable asset, like gold, cash, silver, cash, gold, silver, or cash and tradable assets, so in that case we calculate the value of all of these zakatable assets, and we see if the value of all of these assets is equal to the price of the 612 grams of silver, then we will be considered sahib nisab. And what is that amount by today? So the price of 612 gram silver is $490. The price of 1 gram silver is $0.8, and when you will multiply this by 612, so the answer is $490. So if a person has either the cash or the combination of cash or silver and cash and gold and silver and gold and whatever zakatable assets, and the value of this combination is equal to or more than this, so he will be considered sahib nisab. So sahib nisab means now he cannot receive the zakat, and after 1 year, when he becomes the owner of such amount, and 1 year passes by, then he will calculate his zakat from the zakatable assets, right? I have explained, I think, this. So this is the chart, and you ignore the dates, right? 2012 and 13, because this presentation was old. So even in 2021 and 22 and 23, so on, we will have to pay the zakat, right? We don't need to think that it was only for 212 and 13. It is just a figure, you can ignore it. So suppose a person is in 2012, and because I said that lunar qamar is considered Islamic calendar for the zakat, right? So if this is the month, suppose right now it is Shaban, but in this presentation we have given the month of Rabiul Awwal, so you can take any day. So suppose this is Rabiul Awwal, first of Rabiul Awwal, and a person becomes the owner of such amount, right? So now he is Sahib Nisab. After 1 year, the next year on the first of Rabiul Awwal he will see. If he has the Nisab or more than that, then he is subject to pay zakat on that. Not only on that nisab, but whatever he has, cash, gold, silver. In the coming slide, inshallah, we will discuss the zakatable assets. But whatever he has on the next first of Rabiul Awwal, he will have to pay zakat. So suppose 1 day before that, if he receives, if he earns $1 million, and this amount comes into his possession and his ownership, so on next day, he will have to pay zakat on that. So sometimes people ask why he will have to pay zakat, because he received this amount only 1 day before, right? But as I said that the year must pass by means only on the nisab, right? Not on each and every part of the zakatable asset. So another perspective of this question is, and it makes it easy to understand. So suppose on first of Rabiul Awwal last year you had $1 million, right? You got some lottery or some gift, gift anyone can give. So you got $1 million on first of Rabiul Awwal last year. So on this year, on the first of Rabiul Awwal, you will have to pay zakat on that. But 1 day before, if you spend all of that money except for example $10,000, you gift it to ICC, right? Or you gift it to your relatives or your brother and sister, whatever you did, but you spent that money 1 day before. So on next day, on how much you will pay the zakat? Only what you have, right? So these are two perspectives, and we will share this presentation to you, and inshallah it is easy to understand because now we have a short time, so we will go to the next slide. So inshallah you can read it and it is very easy to understand. Next. So this is the second question, zakatable assets. Which are the assets on which we are supposed to give the zakat? So basically these are the zakatable assets, but all of them are not relevant to us. If you see crops and livestock, so I think none of us is farmer, and none of us has 5 or more than 5 camels or 30 cows or 40 goats. And if any one of you have, you can come to Darul Ifta ICC, inshallah we will discuss. So we will discuss only these common things which are gold, silver, cash, business stocks and investments. These are relevant to us. Go back to the zakatable assets. So this is important to understand that gold is zakatable assets. If you are the owner of the nisab and 1 year has passed, so after that you will have to pay zakah on your gold. If you have the nisab, still you are the owner of the nisab, then you will have to pay zakah on your gold, and it does not matter in what shape or state it is. If it is you have the bricks of gold, or you have the jewelry, or in whatever shape you have gold, you will have to pay zakah on that. And again, it is also according to Hanfi school of thought that if you have the jewelry, our sisters are behind the wall, and alhamdulillah, all of them maybe have the gold. So if you have the jewelry, sometimes it is asked, this is the jewelry we wear, right? We use it. It is for personal use. So if it is subject to zakah or not. So because it is gold, so it is subject to zakah. According to Hanfi school of thought, even it is your jewelry, your personal jewelry, and it is for your personal use, still you will have to pay zakah on that. And this is the safe opinion. And silver, again silver in whatever shape or shape you have, you will have to pay zakah on that. as long as you are sahib nisab, and we have discussed it before this. And cash. Cash is also subject to zakat. Either it is in your pocket, or it is in your bank account, or in your locker, and even if you have given to someone as a loan, and you hope that he will give you back, right? If he has denied and you don't have the control to take back from him, then it is not subject to zakat. But as long as you are sure that he will give you back, you will have to pay zakat every year, right? And business stocks. So this is important to understand, business stocks. Gold, it is easy to understand that this is the gold I will have to pay zakat. This is silver, I will have to pay zakat. This is the cash, I will have to pay zakat on that. But business stock, business stocks makes everything subject to zakat. For example, diamond, it is not subject to zakat if you have the diamond for your personal use, you have at home, showpiece, whatever, right? But if you make it a business stock, if you have the business of diamond, then it is subject to zakat. You will have to pay zakat on that. In the same way, for example, if you have old currency notes which are not now under practice in the market, so if you have for your personal hobby, then it is not subject to zakat. But if you are the businessman of such currency notes, then you will have to pay zakat on that, right? So whatever you have for business perspective, for business purpose, you will have to pay zakat on that. And livestock, as I said, that this is not relevant to us in investment. If we invest our money in different avenues, then we will have to pay zakat on that. There is a little bit, detail in that. For example, if you invest, it will be coming inshallah in the next slide, but if you invest your money in the shares, right? So you will have to pay zakat on that, but there is a detail. Because sometimes we buy the share for capital gain. We buy the share as the prices go up, we sell. And sometimes we buy the share and we hold them, right? We want to earn the dividend on that. So if it is for capital gain, we buy the stock as the prices go up, we sell. Then we will have to pay zakat on the whole price of that, right? If it is, for capital gain. But if we buy the share to hold and earn the dividend, in that case, we will have to pay zakat on the, this is a little bit complicated, but inshallah, I will try my best to make it understand. Inshallah, in the coming slide, it will be discussed more. But when we have the business, so many of you know, in business we have fixed assets and current assets, right? Fixed assets are the assets which cannot be changed within 1 year. So if we have the building, we have the business, and in business we have the building in which we maintain and we put the stuff, and we have the vehicle, for example, to deliver the stuff, right? So zakat will not be applied to these assets, fixed assets. Yes, if we have the inventory, then zakat will be applied to the inventory. Whatever we have for the sale, it will be subject to zakat. So now, when we have the share, basically this is the this is the proof of our partnership in that business, that company of which we have the share. So obviously the companies do not have only the current assets, right? They have fixed assets, they have current assets. So if we can know that the company of which we have the share, the fixed assets of that company are so, and the ratio of the current asset is this. So if we know, then we will give zakat according to that. Suppose you have the share of a company and the ratio between fixed asset and current asset is, for example, 50-50. So in that case, on the 50% of our share, we will have to pay zakat, right? Yes. After this presentation, inshallah, you can ask the question. Yeah.
One question. It's not clear when you say fixed asset with the ratio of the current asset.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Means if your company has 60% fixed assets and 40% current assets. So because as I said that zakat is not applied to the fixed assets. Now the value of your share, for example, you have one share and the value of your share is $100. and 60% of this share is, for fixed assets. So you will pay zakah on your $40, even though the value or the price of your share is, market value of your share is $100, but because 60% is for fixed assets which are not subject to zakah, so you will pay on your 40% on the price of your share, you will pay zakah on that. So now, how we will calculate the zakah? Because we have, different zakatable assets. We have gold, silver, cash, and business stock. And at the other hand, sometimes we have the loans as well. Sometimes we take the personal loan. Sometimes, the utility bills are due, and we have to pay. So the way to calculate the zakah is, first you will add the value of your gold, silver, cash, whatever you have in your pocket, in your bank, with your friends, and you have the receivable. So you will add the value of all of these assets, and then you will deduct the liabilities which you have to pay to someone. Right? In next slide we will discuss, if all of the liabilities will be deducted from the zakatable assets, or only specific liabilities will be deducted. Inshallah, next slide we will discuss. But the liabilities which are deductible from the zakatable assets, we will deduct them, and then they will be net zakatable assets, and then 2.5% of net zakatable assets will be our net amount of zakat. This is important to understand, because before I come to this slide, so I think many of us, get the financing, right? So if we say all of this amount, our financing we have taken from bank, so if we deduct this from our zakatable assets, hardly, we will find someone who is supposed to give the zakat. So that's why it is important to understand that all of the liabilities are not deducted from the zakatable assets. Only short-term liabilities are deducted from zakatable assets. Now, which are the short-term liabilities and which are long-term liabilities? So the liabilities which are supposed to be paid in 1 year are called short-term liabilities, and the loans or liabilities which are for more than 1 year are called long-term liabilities. So suppose if you have taken the financing, normally we take the financing for 30 years. So all of that amount will not be deducted from our zakatable assets, right? But if we have the loan, personal loan from someone, and we are supposed to pay back that in 1 year, right? So in that case, these loans will be deducted from our zakatable assets. In the same way, our utility bills, when they are due, if you delay for 2-3 days, and then the consequences of that. So that means this is short-term liabilities. So if this is, for example, today is your zakat date, and your utility bill or your energy bill or your any bill is due, so that will be deducted from your zakatable assets. But if you have taken the financing, house financing for 30 years or for 15 years, so only if this is your zakat date, so on this date you will deduct only that installment which is due, right? Because only that installment is now due on you, right? And another thing is important to understand, because many of us maybe have the financing from University Islamic Finance or any other Islamic financial institution. So normally they give the financing on a specific mode of financing which is called diminishing musharaka, right? So the concept of diminishing musharaka is, if I have, for example, 5% and 95% is given by the financial institution. So diminishing musharaka means that now we are the partner in that house. You are the partner with that financial institution in this house. So 5% is yours and 95% is financial institution. So now every month you will be buying a share from that financial institution. So that is not your liability. It will become your liability when you will buy that share, right? So this is not to be deducted from our zakatable assets. Yes, when it becomes the due, then we can deduct it from that. This is the simple chart just to make it easy to understand. So if the value of your gold is, for example, $1,000 and the value of silver is 500 and then cash is 300 and business stock is 4,000, so these are in thousands. And money lent, you gave some loan to your friend or your brother or anyone, and as I said that first, that you are sure that he will give back, and he accepts that he has your loan and he will give you back. Because if it becomes a bad debt, and bad debt means when you are not sure and you think that most probably that has died, right? उधार एक जादू है जो लेता है गायब हो जाता है. So if that is the case, you are not sure that now you will be able to take it back, you will not pay zakat on that. But if you are sure that he will give you back and he accepts that I have your loan and I will give you, in that case you will have to pay zakat on that. So this is the your zakatable assets, and total zakatable assets are 10,500. So now long-term loan, as I said that the total amount of long-term financing is not deducted from your zakatable assets. Only those installments will be deducted from your zakatable assets which are already due. So this is that amount which is due. And then short-term loan, 500 for example, your utility bill or your energy bill or something else is due. You will deduct from your zakatable asset, and total after deduction your zakatable assets, net zakatable assets over here are 6,000, and now 2.5% of 6,000 is $150. So this is your net zakat. Yes, Swatin bhai.
What you said before is actually opposite here. You said long-term loans should not be dealt with.
Oh, this is just 1 month.
As I said that from your long-term liabilities or long-term financing, you will deduct only those installments which are due. So this is the, for example, today is your zakat date and this installment is due, right? In that case, you will deduct it from your zakat. There are two opinions, and as I said that this opinion is safe, so I mention only this opinion. Otherwise, there is another opinion that you will deduct for your whole year, right? The installments you are going to pay in coming year, you will deduct all of these installments from your zakatable assets. But according to my understanding, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows better. According to my understanding, my humble understanding, this is the safe opinion that you deduct only that installment which is already due, right? Next. Now this is the answer to the fourth important question, right? Who can zakat be given to? Who is entitled to receive zakat? So in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Tawbah, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Innama sadaqatu lil fuqara'i wal masakin wal 'amilina 'alayha wal mu'allafati qulubuhum wa fir riqabi wal gharimina wa fi sabilillahi wa ibnis sabil. So these are 8 heads mentioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, described by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, that you can give your zakat back. Sadaqat means over here zakat. So first head is al-faqir, and second one is al-miskin. So just to make it easy to understand, al-faqir or al-miskin is a poor person who does not have the nisab, who is below the nisab, right?
Irrespective of any religion.
No. It is coming in the next slide. So if a person does not have the nisab, he is below the nisab, so you can give your zakat to him. And still it is important, if you are not sure about a person that if I should give zakat to him or not, so either you make sure that he is eligible to receive the zakat and you give your zakat to him, or you can come to any scholar who has the deep understanding of this masail and you can get guidance from him. Because it is your responsibility to make sure that the person you are giving zakat to him is eligible to receive the zakat. Otherwise, zakat will not be counted, right? And third avenue is al-amil. Amil means in the Holy Quran, I will inshallah now, next I will discuss that. It is also not relevant to us, right? But just to make the understanding, al-amil is a person who is appointed by the Islamic State to collect the zakah from the believers, from the owners of the nisab. So because it is his job, he has been appointed by the state, Islamic State. So whatever he will collect, from zakat, now his salary can be given from that amount, but it will be given by the Islamic State. He cannot do it himself. So unfortunately, there are many organizations which collect the zakat from the believers, but they don't make sure that zakat is given to the eligible people. And sometimes, unfortunately, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects all of us. I came to know about some organization, that person established organization to collect the zakah and distribute among the needy people, and they are taking 150,000 and more than that as a salary from that amount. So it cannot be allowed from the Sharia perspective. So that's why I said that it is when a person is appointed by the Islamic State to collect the zakah, and Islamic State pays from this zakah to him his salary, right? So because in general these things are not considered by the organization, such organization. So that's why I said that this is not relevant. Yes, if there is an organization which makes sure, and you are sure that they collect your zakat and then they distribute that zakat to the needy people, to the people who are eligible to receive zakat, they make sure, then obviously you can give your zakat to such organization. And in coming slide we will be discussing inshallah the religious educational institution which make sure that your zakat is being distributed to the eligible people. You can give your zakat to them, and it will not only be you will not be paying only your zakat, but inshallah you will get double reward for that. In coming slide inshallah I will discuss that. So the next one is mu'allafatul qulub. This is in the beginning. So the people who are new Muslims, so the Prophet ﷺ used to give them zakah just to win their hearts, just to make them closer to Islam. Sometimes they are new Muslims, and sometimes even they were not Muslim, they were being given zakah, either to attract them to come close to Islam, or to save the society from their shar, from their problems, right? But when Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu became Khalifa, became the caliph, so he said that now we don't need to give our zakat to them, right? So it was for a specific time when we were weak. Now we don't need to give zakat to them. So after this we will not give our zakat to them. So according to Hanafi school of thought and the majority of the scholars, now we cannot give our zakat to the non-Muslims. We can give our zakat only to the Muslims, right? And then slaves. So this is also not relevant to us, right? And debtors, those who are under the loans and they don't have enough money to pay their loans. Sometimes you will see a person who has a car, and you will see that he is well off, but some people they don't tell you, or they don't ask for zakat and other stuff, but in fact they are under the loans, and if they pay their loan they will have nothing. So in that case you can give your zakat to them. And travelers, sometimes a person is traveling and even he has the money back in country, and but he is in a situation where he cannot get his money, he cannot take his money. So if he is in such situation, you can give your zakat. Next. Best options to give your zakat. Even though, as I said that though there are 8 avenues and some of them are not relevant, but from them some avenues are best option to give your zakat to them. And top of them is your relatives. If you know some of your relative that he is needy and he is eligible to receive your zakat, you should give your zakat to him. Because in that case, you will get the double reward. Right? One reward of giving the zakat, and second reward of helping your relative. Right? Because they are entitled, and you should help them, and if you give your zakat to them, it will be inshallah a means of double reward for you. And the second best option is the religious madaris. So now, you should have the question in your mind. In the beginning, when I was explaining the definition of zakah, I said that this is mandatory, it is essential for you to discharge your liability, is to give your zakah and make a eligible person the owner of your zakah. Right? Because if you give, or if we give our zakah to establish a masjid, or if we establish from our zakat, through our zakat money, a masjid, or we establish some other building through our zakat money, so that will not be counted zakat. But you can ask the question, or you should have the question in your mind, then how we can give our zakat to the religious madrasa or to organization, So you will have to make sure that that madrasa or that organization gives your zakah to the eligible persons who are eligible to receive the zakah. So if a religious madrasa has some students who are eligible to receive zakah, and these students have appointed that madrasa or the principal or the management of that madrasa to receive zakah on their behalf, and then utilize it for the needy students, then you can give your zakat to such madrasa. But again, you will have to make sure, and over here, if you want to know about this ICC, you can talk to Mufti Sulaiman Sahib over here, and he knows all of these things, and he has the data of the students, and inshallah you can talk to him and he will explain it more. And again, if you are sure that this is the organization or this is the madrasa which will distribute your zakat to the eligible people, then if this is the educational institution, and especially if it is the religious educational institution, then you will get the double reward. One reward of giving zakat, one reward of paying zakat, and second reward of helping to promote the Islamic education, right? To spread the Islamic education, so you will get double reward. If through your zakah, if one person become the alim, scholar, so after that he will serve Islam, he will serve the ummah, and inshallah that will be a means of reward for you. And as I said, that if you give your zakat to organization, which claim that they can distribute your zakat to the eligible people, you will have to make sure that they distribute and they give your zakat to the eligible people. And then orphans, orphans are widows, but again you will have to make sure that they are in the situation when they are eligible to receive zakah. If you are sure, then you should give your zakat to them. These are I have almost explained it, that these are not now potential receiver of our zakat. Next, you cannot give your zakat to these people. First, non-Muslims, rich people who are equal or above the nisab, obviously you cannot give your zakat to them, and ascendants and descendants. You cannot give your zakat to your father, your mother, your grandfathers, right, and so on. And you cannot give your zakat to your son, your daughter, your son and daughter. Yes, you can give. If a spouse, you cannot give your zakat to your wife cannot give her zakat to you. Yes. If your brother, your siblings, your sister, if they are needy, they are eligible to receive your zakah, you can give your zakat to them. You can give your zakat to your uncle, your aunt, if they are eligible to receive your zakah.
Mufti sir,
Yes.
you said you cannot give to non-Muslim. When in the Quran, when 8 conditions are met, travelers can be anybody. I might be wrong. Masakin and mushrikeen can be anybody. And you yourself said, Prophet Muhammad used to give to, those new Muslim or those who did not even became Muslim, but still. So you are contradicting two statements here. I want to know from where did you get this idea, non-Muslim, that you cannot give to non-Muslim?
As I said
From
that,
where did you get an idea?
as I said that, it is not me who said that. Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, when he was, the Khalifa of the Islamic State, so he said that Mu'allafatul Qulub, basically this was an avenue. Mu'allafatul Qulub means either they are new Muslim or even some of them were not Muslim, but the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to give his zakah, the believers zakah to them. But it was when the Islam and the Muslims were weak, and this was the strategy to attract the non-Muslims and even sometimes new Muslims, so that their hearts can be wrong. But Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu said that this was for a specific time. Now that time has gone. We don't need and we will not give our zakat to them. So Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu says that, yes, as I said that, this is the opinion of the majority of the scholars, that because of the decision of Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, we will not give our zakat to them, or our zakat cannot be given to them. But still, there are some scholars who say that still it is allowed to give your zakat to them. But as I said, the majority of the scholars, or at least the scholars we follow them, they have this opinion that we cannot give our zakat to them because of the decision of Umar radiallahu ta'ala.
So don't you think it's a time that Muslims start helping non-Muslims, especially in countries like India or even here, to attract non-Muslims? Now the situation has come where we can apply the same rule where you said, Hazrat Umar said,
So in this situation, even our Muslim brothers and sisters who are in more need, and as you can see that in general, especially in the country we are living in, you will find hardly a person who is meeting this criteria. But we know millions of the Muslims who are in need of our zakah. So again, on one side, yes, you can say that because over here we are weak, so we should give our zakah to them to attract them to our Islam, but that will not attract them. On the other hand, our millions of Muslims, even they don't have the money for 2 times food. So if you see or if you look at that side, still we should give us zakat. But as I said, this is a discussion, and some scholars still today they have the opinion that you can give your zakat to them. But according to the scholars we follow them, or according to the majority of the scholars, it cannot be given to them. Yes.
Mufti Sahib, in Hazrat Umar's time there was a pandemic case and he helped all the non-Muslims, and it is the same time right now. So how can you say that we cannot give zakat to non-Muslims?
As I said, we cannot give our zakat to them.
Yeah.
If you want to help them and they are in need, we can help them through other charities, not through the zakat. But we can help them.
But more non-Muslims in America, they are poorer than Muslims, if you see the national data. So they are more eligible for zakat.
Again, this is a discussion it will continue. As I said that, Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu said that after this, we will not give our zakat to them.
But pandemic is not over. We are still in the pandemic, and he helped the non-Muslim in pandemic.
Give sadaqah. Yeah, give
As I
sadaqah.
said, you can give your sadaqah, your optional sadaqah you can give to them.
He gave zakat.
Who?
Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala. Not sadaqah.
Okay, we can, I think.
And there is a fatwa from Egypt right now
Yes,
that you can give.
that is why I said still there are some scholars who have this opinion. But the majority of the scholars, if you see, in different countries, the majority of the scholars is still of the opinion that we should not give our zakat to them. And specifically, I said the scholars, we follow them, they have the opinion that we should not give our zakat to them. Yes, we should help them if they are in need, but through our optional charities.
And when Quran talks about the poor, Quran doesn't differentiate between Muslim and non-Muslim.
No, in that, so then it was not needed to say mu'allafatul qulub, right? Even then, why these avenues have been mentioned in the Quran? It was enough to say, okay, innama sadaqatu lil fuqara. That's it. And again, the understanding of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So those who rely on that, they say that we should not give. And again and again, there are some scholars still, even in this time, they say that we can give to them.
We can say
If you
difference of
follow,
opinion.
if you follow their opinion, and you think that their dalai are stronger, and you follow them, you can give. But as I said, I am mentioning the opinion of the majority of the scholars, and especially those scholars who follow them.
Sayyid is allowed for zakat.
Mhm.
Sayyid.
Hashmis, and then before this organizations which you are not make sure that they will distribute your zakat to the eligible people. So you should not give your zakat to them, because it is your responsibility to make sure that your zakat is going to the eligible people.
I have a question. So how about orphanage?
Mhm.
Orphanage. It's an organization. Can I give zakat to an orphanage?
Yeah, if you are sure that they will send your money, they will distribute your zakat to them, because unfortunately there are some. I personally know some organization which say that we are doing for the orphan, but they don't make sure that they are distributing and they are giving your zakat to them. So if you are sure that, then you can give.
What about the hospitals?
Hospitals, you cannot establish the hospital through your zakat, but if you make a system that this is the zakat money, and if a person is eligible to receive zakat, he comes and only he receives the treatment from this money or cash from that account, then that's fine. But you cannot establish the building, directly building through your zakat. And Hashmi, and it includes the like Hashmis and Quraishi and Abbasi, the relative family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you cannot give your zakat to them. And again, in this point, there is difference of opinion. The majority of the scholars say that you cannot give your zakat to them. You can give your optional charity to them. But there are some scholars, there are some opinions that this was when the time there was humus for them. So the Prophet ﷺ said that your zakat should not be given to them. Only optional charities should be given to them. And now, because we don't have that system, and if we don't give our zakat to them, they don't have any other avenue or source to get the help. So they say that you can give your zakat to them. But our fatwa is that it should not be given to the Hashmis or Sayyid or these families. Next.
Mufti sir, one more question. So there are some Muslim countries where Muslims they pay zakat, but they don't pay the taxes.
Mhm. Then
Almost 7.5 million people registered as a tax payer in Pakistan.
Mhm.
Only 2.5 million they paid taxes.
Then
So do you think is it Islamic allows that you pay zakat but don't pay taxes?
you will have to pay your zakat. This is your what is called duty or farida. But when you are living in a country and you have accepted that you will follow the rules and regulations of that company, especially when these rules and regulations or things are not against Islam, so then you should give. You should not break the laws of that country. Yes, sometimes in every country you have the rules, right? And you can save your tax. If you are going through the legal channel, legal way, and you are saving your tax, that is fine. But if you are going against the law and cheating and other things, then obviously that is not allowed, right? So we should give the taxes if we are supposed to. I think I have discussed this. Next. Zakat on shares, I have explained, and cryptocurrencies. Again, this is a very new question. If you have the cryptocurrencies, these are subject to zakat or not. So, especially in this country, because cryptocurrency is not illegal. So, a group of scholars is of opinion that if the cryptocurrency, a specific cryptocurrency, is not illegal in a specific country, so in that country it is a wealth, it is an asset. which is considered by the Sharia. So when it is asset and you have this asset, you will have to pay zakat on that, especially in US. And business stock, your business, if you are running the grocery store, for example, or a showroom of furniture, or showroom of the cars, and you buy and sell, so whatever you have with you for sale, you will have to pay zakat on that. 401k and rental property. I'm coming to 401k because that is a common question. Rental properties. If you own the properties, apartments or houses, and you rent out to the tenants, so you will the value of that buildings is not that building is not subject to zakat. Whatever you earn in form of rent, if on the date of zakat you have that rent with you, you will have to pay zakat on that. So in the same way, for example, if you are riding the Uber car, so you will not have to pay zakat on the value of your car. Whatever you earn from that, if on the date of zakat you have that, you will have to pay zakat on that. But you are not supposed to pay zakat on the value of your car or the value of your building, which is not for sale again. If you buy a house with the intention that I will sell it to someone if I find some good customer or person, so in that case you will pay zakat on the value of that house. But if you buy it for you, for your own living, and then your date of zakat comes, then you are not supposed to give the zakat on the value of that house. 401k is important. 401k has the nature of that better than me. That 401k is a combination of two components. One is deducted from your salary, and other one is given by the employer. So what is deducted from your salary, and you agree that this can be deducted from my salary, that is subject to zakat. And what is given by the employer, so from that only that share or that portion is subject to zakat, which is vested to you. Now you are owner of that and you have the control to take, right? So that is subject to zakat. But which is not vested to you, which is not vested to the employee, that is not subject to zakat. This was effort to make it easy to understand. Now if you have a question, I will try to address. Yes.
How do you calculate the gold that spouse owns?
Yes.
How do you calculate my spouse owns gold and she uses for wearing and that kind of
So
thing?
basically,
how do you calculate
if your wife is the owner of the jewelry, she is supposed to pay zakat on that. But if you pay zakat on her behalf and you tell her that I am paying zakat on your jewelry, so you will calculate the value. You will go to the what is called goldsmith. They will tell you what is the value of your gold, and then you will calculate your zakat. 2.5% of that you will give zakat.
What's this 401k regarding, I've read difference of opinion. Some scholars say because you do not have a firm hold on that money.
There are
So they say
multiple opinions about
59
that.
and a half you have to show to the government because
There are a couple of opinions about that, but just to make it easy to understand, and what is my understanding about that is what I mentioned. But even one of my friend who is doctor and who has written a full paper on that. So this is possible, this is possible, this is possible. But if I mention all of these opinions, I will make it more complicated for you. So just to make it easy, I mention only one opinion, and I think that opinion is safe. Even there is another opinion that because you don't have the full control on that, if you take, you will give the fine on that.
no, you cannot. You have, even for paying fine, you have to meet certain criteria.
Yes.
Before that, either you are unemployed or you are in dire financial need, you have to show to the IRS before 59 and a half. Only then you have to pay. It's not that today I want, IRS says, okay, 10% here and you can take. No, you cannot do that.
So you don't have the control on that?
You do not have the control.
You cannot
on that.
take?
No, you cannot.
Even what you have given?
Yes, you cannot. That's what I'm saying. You have to understand that rule first.
So
That is why people are saying because you do not have a control. Yes, there is a penalty, but penalty is not like if I ask IRS, tomorrow I want. No. You have to show them why you need that. Either you have to prove them you are in financial crisis,
If you
or
prove
your
that-
job is gone.
If you prove
Those two
that,
conditions.
You don't have to prove.
Yes.
You don't have, I
Yes.
took out my money from 401k, I didn't have to provide any proof.
Your job, you are changing employer, so your job is gone. That is, there's a little to it. Your job is gone, so you don't have to prove.
So, I think it will be better if you write this question, and I will say more inshallah. You write it and, you can give to me, and I will try my best to do some research on that, and then I will answer the written inshallah.
There can be also more than one. 403 is different, 401k is different.
This is the-
If you're changing the employer means you have left the job, so that what is contained, then you can change or all those,
The basic, you can say the rule is that if you have the control on that, if you have the control on that, and you can take, even with the fine, then you will have a pay zakat.
Yeah, that is understandable.
Yes, but if the, the situation is different, then you're right, and I will go and tell us more research on that.
No, sir, here from the brother Salahuddin.
We can, anytime you want money from the retirement, you can take money, but you have to pay taxes on that and penalty.
As I said that even with the fine, it means that you have the control on that.
That he did not change the employer. So he took out the money out without changing
That
the
you will have
employer.
to pay zakat on that. هذا ما عندي والله أعلم بالصواب. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.
So there are questions outside.
There is no condition for that. You have full control on that. And if you eat, you will not have to pay zakat on that. When you are sure that he is eligible, you will not only related to tell him, but better not to tell him. आप अपनी ज़कात डेट है ना फर्स्ट